Statistics, Modeling, and Finance, Chapter 3, Measures of Dispersion, page 24, Normal Distribution. The definition of normal distribution in the Dictionary of Real Estate Appraisal, 7th edition, is shown as a part of the definition of a normal curve. A normal curve distribution, that's highlighted, is defined as a symmetrical, bell-shaped curve that represents the distribution of a population of certain types of measurements or the frequency distribution of all the possible means in large samples that may have been drawn from an unknown population distribution, also known as normal distribution or normal probability distribution. A normal distribution, when graphed, has the highest point in the middle and tapers off on each side evenly. It forms what is called a bell curve or a normal curve. A normal curve looks like this. The mean, median, and mode all occur at the high point in the middle of the curve. Each side of the curve is symmetrical. If you folded it in the middle, each side would match exactly. An equal number of observations occur in each half. These observations decrease in value as you move away from the mean. End of page. Page 25, Standard Deviation Summary. The standard deviation is a good way to describe the dispersion of a sample or a population. It is an indication of how well the mean represents the whole. We mentioned earlier that the standard deviation can be used for further analysis and prediction. We will cover that in the next chapter. But let me leave you with this. Here are the powerful conclusions that can be made. In a normal distribution, approximately 68% of the observations will fail within one, that's highlighted, standard deviation from the mean, plus or minus. 95% of the observations will fall within two, that's highlighted, standard deviations from the mean, plus or minus. 99% of the observations will fall within three standard deviations from the mean, plus or minus. End of page. Page 26, Summary. In this chapter, we investigated measures of dispersion. We started out with discussions of sample size and sample techniques. The first tool was the range. We gave examples and described this tool's limitations. It is simple, but not too precise. We discussed the average absolute deviation. This is a measure of how far each observation in a distribution varies from the mean on the average. It gives us some measure of comparison and shows, to a certain extent, how well the mean describes the entire sample or population. We defined and illustrated standard deviations. We ran through some practice problems. We discussed how standard deviation is the most useful of the tools for studying dispersion because it lends itself to further analysis. We also discussed probabilities, normal distributions, and normal curves that are the result of random selection samples. We provided illustrations. Measures of dispersion can help judge the disparities exhibited by a distribution or members of a population. They are still part of descriptive statistics. A quiz follows. Are you ready? End of page.